Welcome back to how to turn your skill into an online business. In this episode, we're going to be walking through the branding, the funnel, and the tech stack you need so your business can operate efficiently. Now, most people get completely lost here because they focus on the problem, the ICP, the buyer profile, and the offer, and the pricing and how they're going to get clients. But ultimately, what they forget is, how do I actually build the business on solid foundations so that when I look to scale, I don't completely crash? And that's what happens most of the time, and this is why this episode is going to be one of the most important ones. So the first thing that I want to break down is your branding. So we're going to talk about step one, and we're going to talk about your brand. Now, again, this shouldn't be overlooked. And you might be thinking, but Jordan, branding isn't going to get me clients. But I'm telling you now, your branding will get you clients, because your branding is a combination of your message, your mission, who you are, and how you represent your business, right? Because we're in a slightly different world where, you look at the likes of Google or Microsoft, and then you think, okay, well, what does Google represent? What does Microsoft represent? But now we're thinking of it in a different way, where we're thinking, what does Steve Jobs represent? And what does Bill Gates represent, right? And this is the environment that we're in now, where the person means more than the business. However, the business still needs to have a mission, and we as founders need to be able to represent that mission through our branding. And our branding is our personal brand, but we still need to be in alignment with the mission that we're trying to create in the company. So your brand messaging is going to be crucial. Now, your brand needs to speak directly to buyers, It's a bit messy, but your brand needs to speak directly to your buyers. And this is the reason why we created the buyer profile in the first episode, because that buyer profile is going to give you a full breakdown of who your buyer is specifically. But your brand needs to internalize. Now, this is going to be a combination of you deciding what you want your brand to represent and your buyer profile telling you what your brand should represent. So if you've identified that your buyer profile is someone who, for example, my buyer profile is a skilled professional, someone who's great at sales or great at marketing. They have a commercially valuable skill, but ultimately they're leveraging that skill to work for someone else. Maybe they're working on a high ticket offer. Maybe they're working in a corporate environment, but they want to take that skill, they want to productize it and package it into a business that gives them the margin. That is my buyer profile. Now, they might be experiencing fears around leaving stability and going into the unknown and building something themselves where the responsibility is entirely on them. And it's a valid fear, but that's allowed me to create content which can speak to that person and build that into the messaging behind Built to Grow. The mission behind Built to Grow is to help those commercially skilled people or commercially skilled professionals to build and productize their skills into businesses they own without the confusion of having to think about it and do it themselves. Instead, we give them the tools, the systems to be able to break it down and do it efficiently. Now, everything that I'm sharing, by the way, in these 4 episodes is everything you need to know to actually go out and build the business. Now, there's obviously intricacies within everything that I'm going to speak about in terms of how to build the right systems, the messaging, the copy, the sales flows, and everything like that. And this is where we can have a conversation to see if you'd be a good fit to work with us and actually build your business out within a community of other people doing the same thing. But if you want to just figure it out yourself, this is going to give you the steps required to do it. So really pay attention to all of this. Your branding needs to speak specifically to your buyer. Now, the best way for your branding to do that is take your buyer profile. Now, again, I urge you, if you've not done this already, download the crash course, and you'll see in, I believe it's episode 3 of the crash course, you'll see a link to a document which is called the buyer profile prompt. And what the buyer profile prompt allows you to do is it allows you to go through competitive research, find out other people in your niche doing the same thing as you, identify who their buyers are, and ultimately still copy from their sales pages, use it to build a buyer profile yourself, and then build your own buyer profile, your sales letter, and your offer doc. That document could honestly solve a massive part of your business for you with one doc. So I strongly recommend doing that. But once you've got your buyer profile, you'll literally use this and you'll throw it into Claude or ChatGPT, whatever you want to use. I prefer Claude, but you throw it into there and say, look, this is my buyer profile. Help me to produce brand identity or messaging framework that aligns to that buyer. So when you're building out your DM scripts, your dialer scripts, your closing, your pitch decks, and all of that sort of stuff, you're able to align this directly with your buyer profile so it speaks to that person. Now imagine you're on a sales call with someone and you know exactly what their fears are, you know exactly what their objections are, but your pitch covers absolutely everything. You'll get to the end of that and there'll be no objections to handle. So your buyer profile and building out your brand messaging with your buyer profile is going to be critical here. Now, you want your brand assets. This is also very important. And the reason this is more important than most of you think is people buy from aesthetics. I'm going to say this and I'm going to give you a brief example of why I believe this is truly valid. Now, when you go on a website, let's say you're looking to buy a pair of shoes and you find the perfect pair of shoes and you search it on Google and you have a number of different options, a number of different websites where that shoe is being sold. Then you click on 3 of them. For example, one of them is way too expensive, so you ruled it out entirely. Then out of the other 2, they're the exact same price, but they're on 2 different websites. One of them, the website looks amazing, right? It's perfectly done. It's built correctly. The color scheme, when you hover over a button, it pops. Their checkout page looks smooth and efficient. It looks like it's secure and all of that sort of stuff. And then the other website is terrible. It's like, you know, it feels like it was made in the 90s. It's literally just a photo, very brief description. The button takes you to a new page and it's just a little bit off. Where are you going to buy that pair of shoes? Well, you're obviously going to go to the website where you had a great experience. And this is because you've been bought into the aesthetics. The shoe is the exact same thing. The price is the exact same. The delivery cost is the exact same. But the website sold you. And this is why your aesthetics need to be on point. And it's the same for Instagram. When you're creating content, you need things to look presentable and professional. This is why when you're on LinkedIn, you need to have a banner that represents your company. Your profile photo needs to look professional, arguably, but it needs to pop. It needs to be recognized. And this is why your branding needs to do the same. So you've got to think about like your hex codes. What colors do you want your business to represent? And again, you might think I'm losing my mind here, but colors represent different emotions. Blue represents calm. Green represents growth and nature. Red represents anger. Pink represents something more soft, right? You need to think about what colors your brand is representing and choose them wisely depending on the way you want your brand to be represented. So you want to think about your hex codes, then you want to think about your logo, right? What does your logo say about your business? Is your logo strong and assertive? Is it more calming? Is it more relaxed? Like, what does your logo represent? And find a way to create one that speaks directly to your ideal buyer. And then the final thing you want to think about is, I'm just going to move this at the bottom here, your unique mechanism. Now, your unique mechanism is what you do that no one else does that makes going with you better than anyone else. So when you're building out your offer, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? Now, something that we did with Sales Growth Club is we ran a mastermind funnel. Now, this is before everyone was doing webinars and all of this sort of stuff. What we did was we wanted to stand out amongst the crowd of people who were going direct from cold to booking, because we identified that there was a problem in building trust and most people were hesitant to get on a call if we've just spoken to them in the DMs. So what we would do is we would build a mastermind funnel, and we called it the Evergreen Mastermind Revenue Engine. And what this allowed us to do is run a live video recording where we can transfer all of our traffic to. So everything from our ads, the content, our outbound would go onto that live mastermind. We deliver an incredibly valuable mastermind, and then we would convert on the back end of that once we've built some trust, and then we would evergreen it. where the evergreens in the name. So we'd record that live session, then we'd use an app called EverWebinar, and we'd run the live mastermind on EverWebinar. And ultimately, people who would opt in to watch the webinar, they'd have to pick a time, they'd have to pick a date, and they'd only be shown the webinar on the date that they selected. So it felt live to them, even though we were running this every single day. And this allowed us to generate consistent warm leads. And now it's something that more people are tending to do, but I'm not really seeing everyone do the evergreen system. But that was our unique mechanism. And that's what made us stand out amongst every other growth operator or sales team that were looking to compete with us, right? So you need to identify your unique mechanism, what makes you stand out amongst the crowd. Step 2, you need to be able to show who you are. And you need a platform or a place where people can visit and they know enough about your business to decide whether or not they want to action the next step. So this is where you want to display your hex codes, your branding, your logo, and everything about your business and your mission. So you need to build a landing page. What most people get confused about, they think the landing page is their website. Now, bear in mind, you must secure the domain for your business before you build a landing page. And I'd recommend building it on Lovable just because it's so easy to create. But then you don't want your landing page saying .lovable.app at the end of it. So just secure the domain. It will cost you like a tenner for the year or something like that. But you need to build a landing page. Your landing page isn't about giving every piece of information about your business. Your landing page should sell the next step. And it should only do that one thing, sell the next step. Now, most of the time, this is going to be your lead magnet or your gift, like we spoke about in a previous episode, or your product for prospects. That is going to be the next stage in the buyer journey that your landing page needs to sell. So instead of trying to give all of the information to someone at one point, you need to make it very clear. They enter the landing page for this reason. They identify with the headline. They identify with the subheadline. You have like a VSL on the landing page as well, which walks them through what they're going to get out of this gift or this product for prospects. And then the opt-in should only direct them to that next thing. You can't have visit my Instagram, visit my LinkedIn, opt into my crash course, booking a call with me. The moment you've got too many things on the landing page, your buyers are just going to get confused. But if your landing page does one thing and it does it very well, then that's going to enable you to have a consistent flow of leads. Now, like I said, the VSL ties very well into step 3 because the VSL is what's going to communicate the landing page, and also it's going to enable you to build some more trust with your prospects. Now, the truth is, like I mentioned before, we're in a trust economy. We need to build as much trust with our prospects before they invest into us as possible. And the VSL is just another touch point that allows us to do that. It takes 7 hours worth of content for someone to become a fan. So imagine it. They've got onto your social media, they've seen your content, maybe they've scrolled through a few bits here and there, and then they've ended up on your YouTube. So they've seen, let's say, half an hour of you on Instagram, then they've gone onto your YouTube and they've watched another half an hour video. Now, that is an hour of content that they've seen. And now they've gone onto your landing page. They look at your VSL. Let's say it's a 20-minute VSL or even a 10-minute VSL. It's an hour and 10 minutes that gets them to opt into your product for prospects. Now, let's say if you're like myself, my product for prospects is 3 hours long. So they've seen an hour and 10 minutes of me again. That now becomes 4 hours and 10 minutes after they've consumed the entire product for prospects. But they may have got extreme value from that. They may have gone on and built a business, which is incredible. It's what I want out of all of it. But they may have come back onto my YouTube because now they trust me. And then the YouTube video, they come across this series, which is, roughly around 2 hours worth of content. So now they've got 6 hours worth of content from me. And then they see a few other videos that total up to an hour across Instagram and across YouTube. Now that is my 7 hours worth of trust. The more you put out there, the more people are going to consume. The more value you put out there, the more they're going to trust you. So you need to be creating content, and something like a VSL is the fastest way to get them into that lead magnet, the gift, or the product for prospects. Now, step 4 is all about creating traffic. Traffic is your entire top of funnel. So you want to think of your funnel or your ecosystem like this. So you've got your top of funnel, which is what you want to drive people to through, and you want to use your outbound, you want to use content, You want to use ads when you get to the point where you've got some clients and you can reinvest. And then you've got your middle of funnel. And this is where you have your product for prospects, your lead magnets, your gifts, and you've got the next step, which is ultimately like a sales call. But you can also have like your conversion events here. So conversion events, and I'm going to walk through conversion events briefly, but ultimately conversion events are like webinars, masterminds, things that are big events where you can sell to many. And then you have your bottom of funnel, which is closing call. So this is more like discovery. And then you've got your closing call and onboarding ultimately. Now, what you want to do is you don't want to worry about the bottom of funnel just yet. All of your effort, all of your attention simply needs to go here. And the whole purpose of building out a funnel and building out the right automations, the landing pages, the lead magnets, the product for prospects, the email automations that will come off the back of that, which I will address in a second, is so we can get them down the funnel. Right now, there's a combination of things that we will do to get them down the funnel, but the main focus for the time being is getting them into your top of funnel. So this is where you're going to create content that drives traffic directly into your product for prospects. You're going to do outbound. You're going to physically reach out to people who you think would be ideal buyers, get them into your product for prospects. You will even potentially hire a setter to do that for you whilst you create content. And then once you've got a few clients that have gone to and been onboarded, then you can start to reinvest back into ads, which increase your attention and ultimately run more traffic into this top of funnel right here. So once you've got them all in the top of funnel, the middle of funnel will naturally start to work, right? The product for prospects will start to sell people, the conversion events will start to build trust, and that will be natural. Now, what we can do here when we're in the middle of the funnel and we want to get them into the bottom of funnel, we can start to introduce things like phone setters to actually call up our leads and just find out whether it would be worth them jumping on a call, find out whether or not they're interested, because they may not. And if they're unqualified, then you can just keep them in your ecosystem. You can tag them, and then you can just keep them with your email newsletters and your content and things like that until they are ready to invest. But if they are ready to invest, then you can book them in on a call and you can have your closing conversation. Now, this is the easiest funnel and it's the easiest way to wrap your head around client acquisition. If you have this funnel here and you just do this on repeat, and you literally repeat this over and over again, you have a constant flow of attention to your top of funnel, and then you build the systems that constantly nurture your middle of funnel, and then you build the team that enables your bottom of funnel to work as effectively as possible, then you have an active client acquisition engine. And all you ultimately need to do is create content, put some paid media behind it, and manage a sales team to do the rest. So this is step 4. This is how we drive as much traffic into that ecosystem, into that funnel as possible. Now, we've got step 5, which is all about the actual tech stack that you're using, right? Now, this is important as well. A lot of people overlook this. And I know when I started, I wish I paid a bit more attention to the tech stack I was leveraging. I kind of started with the, just a normal Google spreadsheet, something like an Excel doc. And if there's a way that you can go into extensions on an Excel doc, you can take the code, you can run it through ChatGPT or Claude, and you can build the spreadsheet into a bit of a software. And it's great. It does work. It operates very well. And it's something that I have access to. So if you want to just drop me a message, I'm more than happy to share that with you. But the tech stack, when you're building a business that has pure operational efficiency where you don't want to manage that stuff yourself, is going to be completely different to leveraging spreadsheets. Spreadsheets is almost like, this is where I'm starting, but the moment you get capital coming into the business, I strongly recommend investing into a proper, efficient tech stack. Now, this is actually something I want to mention before I dive into this. When you are making investments in your business, I highly advise you to use the investments that you generate from the business. And the reason I say that is because it creates urgency, first of all, to make money in the business, but then it gets you into a habit of reinvesting. So you make money in the business, you pump that money back into the business, you tenfold the income that you generated in order to pump it back in, and then you just repeat the cycle. And once you've repeated that cycle about 5 times or so, maybe even less than that, you start to realize, actually, fucking hell, this business is making serious money here, and you can start to pay yourself a salary. So I just want to get you into the habit of reinvesting back into your business. But when you're thinking about your tech stack, you need these few things. To start, you need a CRM. Now, the CRM is basically where you manage all of your client relations. So what you want to do is you want to connect your lead magnet to your CRM. So your landing page should use a form that connects directly to your CRM. It stores a lead, it creates an opportunity, and that's how you get people into your ecosystem. And then from that same automation that got them into the CRM, you want to have like an email campaign, like a 14-day email campaign. The moment they've jumped into the landing page or the opt-in form where you deliver your product for prospects, then there's an email thread which is intended to get them on a call. So the CRM that I would recommend is Go High Level. The reason I recommend Go High Level for a starter is, firstly, it's not overly expensive. It's about $97 a month, which is fairly reasonable. And then it can cover absolutely everything. So CRM is one thing, but you're also going to need your booking tool. So your booking tool, you could use Calendly, but to be honest, I've stopped using Calendly because my booking tool's done through Go High Level. So it just goes to show Go High Level offers far more than just a CRM. The next thing you need is an email delivery tool. So emails you can use like MailerLite or something like that. But again, I just opt in for Go High Level because Go High Level does my emails as well. And you can host landing pages, webinar funnels, all of that sort of stuff on Go High Level directly. And the final thing you need is a landing page builder. Now, I'll be completely transparent with you. You can build landing pages on Go High Level. However, I would advise against that. The reason being is time is critical when you're in this situation. And the last thing you want to do is spend your time building landing pages. Once you've got to a stage where you've brought in a marketing department, they might be using ClickFunnels or something like that, then fine. But that's not you leveraging your own time. The perfect tool that I use for all of my landing pages and all of my apps is Lovable. I swear by Lovable. If Lovable was to give me a discount code, I'd fucking sell it to everyone. Honestly, Lovable is the most incredible tool that I've used. And you know what? There's a lot of apps that are coming into play. There's a lot of new AI tools that are doing what Lovable do. Base 44, V0, Cursor, Claude Code are doing a lot now. But Lovable has just made everything so easy for me. And using a combination of ChatGPT and Claude to create the prompts and then Lovable to actually produce the landing page is the most perfect solution. Then what you can do is from Go High Level, you can create a form, and in that form, you can have an embed code. You click on the embed code, you copy it into Lovable, and then you simply paste that form into your Lovable. You launch it and you use Lovable as your website, and then anyone who opts in goes directly to your Go High Level. It couldn't be any easier. This is the perfect tech stack to leverage through when you're just starting out in business. Honestly, you don't need much more than Lovable and Go High Level right now. Right now, you need Lovable to create your landing pages. You need Lovable to potentially build software that you can use to automate your business or to make your service delivery a lot more efficient. And then you just need the CRM like Go High Level that manages absolutely everything and houses all of your automations. The final step, step 6 of episode 2, is tech stack consolidation. Tech consolidation. And what tech consolidation means is basically integrating all of your tools to speak to each other. So you don't have multiple different tools operating and performing separate tasks that don't communicate with each other. And the easiest way to make your tech stack speak to each other is through using a tool called Zapier. And you can also use make.com, which is a bit more AI driven. You can also use NA10 if you want to go the extra mile. NA10 is great for more advanced workflows, but Zapier is incredible for your basic automations. So what Zapier can do is it can connect your Go High Level to a Discord or a Slack. So all of your comms are in one place and you're getting notified on anything that comes through. For example, if you just had a new lead come in who've opted into the landing page, you can get a notification going on to your Slack or your Discord. Same if someone books in a call, and that just enables you to understand exactly what's going on in the business. But also when you hire a team, they know exactly what's going on as well, and it just creates communications in one place. Personally, I use Discord over Slack. Slack can do more ultimately, but Discord covers everything that I need, so there's no reason for me to go into Slack. But if I was to give you a breakdown on my entire tech stack, it's Go High Level, Lovable, Zapier, and Discord. And that is the perfect tech stack required for a business that is just starting. Naturally, you'll start to invest in more as time goes, but this will cover absolutely everything for the time being. Now, that's everything for episode number 2. Again, we've covered everything from funnel building, your tech stack, and your brand identity. Once you've got everything from the problem, your unique positioning, your offer, you've validated the offer, and you've started to build the back end of the business, then you can really start to go all in on lead generation, which is exactly what we're going to cover in the 3rd episode. So stay tuned and I'll see you there. Peace out.